Conte is facing a cabinet showdown with a small coalition partner that could bring down his government and unleash political chaos on the country. Italia Viva, headed by the former Premier Matteo Renzi, has threatened to withdraw its two ministers in protest over various issues. For more, we can cross now to Rome and France 24's Seema Gupta. Seema, can you give us more details on why this is happening now as the country is still coping with the COVID-19 crisis?
Exactly. I think it does seem like a bad time in a way to be having a crisis when the country is still dealing with the pandemic, with almost 80,000 people having lost their lives to COVID-19. Now, everything is really going to culminate in this cabinet meeting that's been called for this evening at 9:30 p.m. local time, in which the government is supposed to gather in order to approve the recovery plan. Now, that's some 200 billion euros or so in terms of money that's been secured by the EU to put together how they're going to spend their post-virus recovery money to get the economy back on track and to help Italy deal with the pandemic. Now, Matteo Renzi, as you mentioned, former prime minister, leader of the smaller Italia Viva party, he says these EU funds are not being spent properly, and he feels that the government is wasting time. He says issues like the fact that certain high schools are still closed, this needs to be dealt with. And he feels they're not being done quick enough. And he's threatening to pull two of his ministers from the cabinet, and that will create a government crisis. So really, it's infighting within the ruling coalition, with Conte, the prime minister, leading the coalition that we have of the centre-left parties, together with that anti-establishment five-star movement on one side, and you've got Renzi there on the other side. Now, the leader of the centre-left Democratic Party, Nicola Zingaretti, has called for common sense to prevail and call for more talks to be held. He believes this is a serious political error and it will actually hurt Italy in the long run. But we're going to have to see what happens this evening, whether they're going to approve the plan and if the government is going to collapse shortly after.
What possible paths forward, Seema, might there be for Giuseppe Conte, assuming that all this plays out and the coalition is beyond repair?
Well, what we do know is that right at this moment, they're still having discussions. They're still trying to see if there is a possibility of a compromise. But honestly, it feels like a face-off, really, with Renzi saying, I won't step back. We won't be held hostage. And you've got Conte on the other side saying, we won't seek a new deal with Renzi's group if indeed they do pull out. So what could happen? You could have a cabinet reshuffle. You could see a possible third Conte government, or you see a new government with the same coalition, but with a new prime minister. The fourth possible option is that we go to early elections, but it's unlikely simply because at the moment, the polls show that the coalition or the bloc that is likely to get the most of the support is the rightist bloc led by the anti-immigrant, anti-EU leader of the League Party, Matteo Salvini. So it's not really in their interest to go to elections. But of course, when it comes to Italian politics, we'll just have to see how things play out in the next couple of hours and days.
All right. Thanks for that, Seema Gupta in Rome.